What you're seeing here is not just another Senate hearing. It is an X-ray image of what happens when the Department of Justice stops being a neutral institution and begins functioning like an extension of the White House political machine. This clash between Attorney General Pam Bondi and Senate Democrats is more than a disagreement about facts. It is a confrontation over the very meaning of justice in a democratic society. When the senator opens by saying that even President Nixon would recoil at what has taken place, he is not trying to score a soundbite. He is pointing to a generational warning. We have entered a moment where political power is being used to reward loyalty, punish critics, and shield the administration from accountability. And when that happens, it's not just policies that suffer, it's the rule of law itself. Bondi begins her testimony by claiming she came into office to end the weaponization of justice. But as she speaks, it becomes clear that what she calls weaponization is really just her predecessor enforcing the law even when it reached powerful people. And what she calls ending weaponization looks a lot like selectively firing prosecutors who dared investigate the former president or members of her administration. That's not ending weaponization. That's repurposing it. One of the most important democratic principles is that the Justice Department must operate independently from political influence. It cannot function if lawyers are punished for doing their jobs, or if investigations are shut down because the subjects are politically connected. Bondi's pattern of firings, dozens of prosecutors removed in less than a year, sends a chilling message. Apply the law to the wrong person, and your career disappears. Democrats recognize this as a direct threat to democracy because history shows us that once political figures learn they can interfere with prosecutions without consequences, they don't stop. They escalate. They expand that power. They begin using the legal system to protect friends, intimidate opponents, rewrite outcomes, and consolidate control. It becomes less about justice and more about preservation of power. And then comes the deeply concerning issue of deploying National Guard troops to American cities. When the senator presses Bondi about whether she consulted the White House, she refuses to answer. Not, I can't discuss operational details. Not, I wasn't involved. Just a flat refusal to confirm or deny, a refusal that suggests the White House did play a role, and she knows acknowledging it would reveal a political motive. The question is not just procedural. It goes straight to American history. Domestic deployment of the National Guard has always been treated with extreme seriousness. It is reserved for natural disasters, riots, or emergency circumstances, and even then, there must be transparency and clear legal rationale. Democrats know this. They know that sending troops into sovereign states over political disagreements is the kind of behavior that destabilizes democracies. It's the kind of thing Americans criticize in autocratic governments, using soldiers to send a message, not solve a crisis. And then Bondi turns the oversight hearing into a personal attack, accusing senators of shutting down the government, of hating Trump more than loving Chicago, of failing to protect their own citizens. This is not the language of an attorney general. It is the language of a partisan surrogate. It reveals just how deeply the Justice Department has been absorbed into political battle. Notice what happens when she makes these attacks. She stops answering the question. And that's intentional. Bondi doesn't want to explain why the National Guard is being deployed or whether it is legal. She wants to reframe the conversation around loyalty to the president. She wants viewers to think that Democrats asking for information are anti-law enforcement. It is a classic political diversion, an attempt to delegitimize oversight so that the executive branch can operate without scrutiny. The senator calls it out immediately. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing.
And he's right.
Oversight is not optional. It is a constitutional function. It is the mechanism that prevents exactly what we are seeing: concentration of power, elimination of dissent, and strategic intimidation disguised as public safety. When he asks Bondi whether she has upheld the commitment she made during her confirmation to keep politics out of DOJ decisions, her answer is a rehearsed political slogan. She claims she established a one-tier system of justice, but the evidence points in the opposite direction. A one-tier system means the law applies equally to everyone, including presidents, allies, donors, and political appointees. Yet under her leadership, investigations into political allies have stalled or vanished, while critics and opponents have found themselves targeted. This is why his closing words hit so hard. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing, he says, but instead of answers, they get insults. Instead of transparency, they get deflection. Instead of accountability, they get political rhetoric designed to protect the administration, not the country. What Democrats are trying to show the American public is this: a justice system that answers to a president instead of the Constitution is not justice. It is a threat. It is dangerous because once the precedent is set that the president may intervene in investigations or influence prosecutions, no future president will willingly hand that power back. The damage becomes structural. The norms break, and democracy becomes fragile. This exchange teaches us something essential. Democracy is not maintained by speeches or ceremonies. It is maintained by institutions that resist the temptation to serve political masters. And when those institutions begin to collapse under pressure, it is the responsibility of Congress, the responsibility of the public, and the responsibility of everyone who believes in the rule of law to step in and push back. If you want to understand how democracies weaken, how power consolidates, and how institutions are hollowed out from within, moments like this are not just hearings, they are warnings. And if you care about accountability, fairness, justice, and truth, stay with us. Because these are the moments where the future is shaped, and the stakes are far too high to look away.